So many books! How do I choose which one to read next? Heyo, welcome to Rachel Ellis Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book tag. This one's called the Book Selection Tag, and it's all about how I choose my next read. I first saw this tag on Kim Chance's channel, but it was originally created by Len Woolston, and I'm going to link both of those videos down below. So the first 4 questions are about the selection of the book. Number 1, I am going to have to read this because it's long. How do you decide what you're going to read next? Do you pick what's trending, read in a specific genre, or is it random? I think a little bit of all of the above. Sometimes I do read what's trending so that you can have conversations about it. There are definitely genres that I lean towards, fantasy and sci-fi being 2 of them, but I also read other genres as well. Often it also depends on what I just read. So if I've just read a fantasy novel or read a few, then I quite like reading something else to break it up. Number 2, how important is the cover? Do you judge a book by its cover? Yeah, of course I do. I think all of us would be lying if we didn't. It's not the be-all and the end-all, but there is something about a beautiful cover that just draws you into a book. Number 3, do you read hardbacks, paperbacks, ebooks, or listen to audiobooks? Most of the books I read these days are paperbacks or ebooks. I love my Kindle, it's so handy. I'll read hardbacks if I've got them, but I don't tend to buy them just because of the price, and I'm kind of cheap. I have never listened to an audiobook. I just haven't. I'm planning to, but I just haven't gotten into audiobooks yet. If you have a recommendation for a great audiobook, leave a comment down below, I'd love to know. Number 4, do you prefer series or standalones, and why? I like both. I really enjoy reading series, though admittedly, I get a little bit frustrated when I'm in the middle of about 10 series, so in some ways I prefer to read completed series, but it's also nice to break those up with standalones where you can just have that sense of closure. You know the book is done, so you don't have to wait 3 years for the next one to come out. Or in the Game of Thrones world, 7 years. I don't think it's coming. I don't think it's ever coming. The next 3 questions are based around what you do while you're reading. Number 5, do you binge read or take your time reading a few chapters at a time? I'm definitely a take your time reader, and that's not because I don't want to be able to binge read a book. It's often just because I kind of have a short attention span. If I'm sitting in one place for half an hour, that's great, but any longer than that and I start to get a bit fidgety, so I tend to put a bookmark in it, go do something else and come back to it rather than reading for 6 hours straight. There has been the odd occasion where I have binge read books. Funnily enough, the one that I remember binge reading are the Twilight books, and that's like, what, going back 15 or so years now. Number 6, bookmark or dog ear? What do you use as a bookmark? I personally believe the dog earing books is sacrilege, but you know, you do you. But I definitely use bookmarks. Usually I use actual bookmarks. I've had a few sort of book boxes and things come from Book Depository, so there are plenty of bookmarks around the house, but if they're not available, receipts are great. I feel like everybody uses receipts. They're just that, you know, thin and long, so they're easy to put into a book. Boarding passes is another one, because they're kind of a thicker cardboard, and again, long and thin, so easy to slot into a book. We just need to go on more plane rides. We need to go on more travel so that we can have bookmarks. It's a good excuse, right? Number 7, do you take notes in your books, or is this forbidden? I don't take notes in my books. I kind of like the idea of taking notes in my books, but I like to kind of keep them pristine so that I can lend them out to other people. I feel like having notes in them would make that a little bit strange. So for me, clean pages. Final 3 questions are about reaching the end of the book. Number 8, how soon do you read a new book? Do you rush to another one or need some time in between? This is a slightly tricky one. I feel like the majority of the time I will just go straight on to the next one, especially if I'm reading a series. If I'm reading just normally and the next one of the series isn't right there, then I might leave a little bit of time, but I think generally I do dump one and pick up the other one pretty quickly. Number 9, do you write reviews for the books you've read, including bad reviews? Yes, I do, but I'm going to link a video up here about the do's and don'ts of book reviews that I thoroughly believe. I don't ever leave rant reviews. There's always something good about a book, and I know how much effort has been put into it by the author, so just ranting and saying horrible things about a book is not in my vocabulary. I'm also really stringent about saying that things didn't work for me. I'm so aware that things might work for someone else that aren't my cup of tea, so I'm not going to be that person who hates on a book. Also saying that, I'm actually not that hard to please, so I find that I don't really need to leave all that many bad reviews. Number 10, this is the last question. What's your favorite book to recommend to others? I think it's Six of Crows. I think I've been recommending Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo quite a lot lately. I just feel like it's that nice mix of fantasy and crime and YA that can still appeal to an older audience as well. Sort of got all of those things involved. So I think that's probably the one I've been recommending the most, at least lately. So there you have it. That is the book selection tag. And now, I wasn't really tagged by anyone, I just did it, but I'm tagging all of you guys to do this one as well. I think it's a really quite an interesting and a cool tag, obviously, because I did it. Duh. Don't forget to check out Lynn Woolston's original video, which is linked down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and reviewing on Goodreads. But for now, maybe go and select your new book. And don't forget to laugh at yourself. I'll see you next time. Bye!